Hello, welcome to the Gym RPG show. So today we're going to be talking about the new iPad Air 4, and I've had it for a couple of weeks now and I'm pretty happy with it, but I know a lot of you guys out there might still be wondering whether you should go and buy the new iPad Air. So that's what we're going to be trying to answer in this video. Now, I thought of some questions that maybe you guys might have about the new iPad Air, so I'll be trying to answer those. And if you have any questions of your own, make sure to leave them in the comments below and I'll try to get to as many of them as I can. Now, if you like this video, make sure to click the like button and also to subscribe to this channel for more iPad videos. And we're going to be trying to cover the keyboard and the pencil as well as games that I'm going to be playing on the iPad. So the first question is, who is this iPad for? And I think that's a really important question to answer because that determines how Apple designed these iPads. And if you go back to about a month ago, I did a video on the differences between the iPad Pro and the iPad Air. And in that video, I looked at the differences between the processor and how the processor on the iPad Pro was really tailored for people who do image editing and video editing because of the stronger multi-core performance of that processor. Whereas if you look at the iPad Air has a processor that's more tailored towards people who just want to consume content. So if you're just watching Netflix or YouTube or playing some games, that's really what this iPad Air is for. So if that's what you're all about and you're just after a tablet experience and you're not actually doing any professional work, then I would definitely go for the iPad Air. Now, I also want to mention the regular iPad at $329, and I think that's a really great iPad for people who don't want to pay $600 for a iPad because that's really expensive, $600 for a tablet. So I think the regular iPad is going to pretty much do everything that this iPad Air can do. The only difference is that it looks a little bit different because it has a different body, but really it's just the body and also the fact that the regular iPad has an A12 chip, whereas the new iPad has an A14 chip. But really, you might get like maybe 1 or 2 years difference out of this iPad Air over the regular iPad, but that's a $300 difference. So if you don't need that extra 1 or 2 years for your iPad, then I would just simply go with that regular iPad because I think that's going to do everything that you'd want it to. Another question you might have might be, should I get the iPad Pro or should I get the iPad Air, given that they're both out right now and they're very similar in price? And I would say for professionals, if you can hold off a little bit longer, then I would try to wait and get the new iPad Pro when that comes out because I think that suits professionals more. I know a lot of professionals don't want to wait because they got a lot of work to do, but if you're in the position to do so, then I would try to wait and get that new iPad Pro, because if you get the iPad Air, that's kind of like getting the older iPad when that new one is about to come out. But for everybody else, I think the iPad Air makes a lot of sense as a iPad that you're just using for consuming content. So the second question is this iPad Air just a iPad Pro with a discount? And I don't want to get too negative here because I really like my iPad Air, but I think a lot of people are wondering whether this is an iPad Pro at $599. And I think honestly, this feels like an iPad Air trapped in a Pro body. And let me explain why, because I feel like they took out a lot of technologies to get the price down to $599. And even at $599, I think this is overpriced. This is really a $499 product that I feel like they thought they could charge a little bit more because they think that people will think it's an iPad Pro. And you know, when you go back and look at the marketing materials on the Apple website, they really emphasize the fact that it has Pro stuff, like it has the Pro body and then the pencil and the Magic Keyboard. So effectively now this is really a Pro for a much cheaper price. But in reality, they took a lot of stuff out of here. Like the ProMotion display is gone. There's no LiDAR scanner. The front camera doesn't have Face ID, so no more animojis. And the four-way speakers are gone now, so it's only the two-way speakers or the stereo speakers. So I think it feels like there's a lot of stuff taken out of this, and it really, all it is like a stripped-down tablet experience. So if you're just after consuming content, that's great. That's what this is for. But it doesn't have any of that new technology stuff that make you go, wow, I bought a Pro. So while we're on the topic of taking stuff out, I want to talk a little bit about the camera quality of the iPad Air. And I think for both the back camera and the front camera, the quality is very poor. So maybe it's not such a big deal on the back camera because you can just take your phone out and take a photo with that. But on the front camera, I'm sure a lot of people want to use this iPad Air for video calls, and I feel like it's a really big missed opportunity for having such a poor camera. The quality really feels like it's very noisy and very grainy on that front camera. So I just wish that they would have upgraded that part. So the third question is, should I buy the 64GB version or the 256GB version? And the 64GB model is $599 and the 256GB model is $750. So $150 more. And I think that's a lot to pay for that extra storage space. So I think you should choose carefully. If you don't think you need that storage space, if you're not going to be downloading your photos or videos and installing a lot of apps, then I would just go for that 64GB model and try to save yourself some money. And if you're just going to be consuming content like watching Netflix and watching YouTube and browsing the internet, then yeah, you can just go for that 64GB version. But for me, I'm going to be sharing this iPad with 3 other family members, so I didn't want to divide that storage space up too much, and I didn't want to just have 15GB to myself, so I decided to go with that 256GB version because I felt like if I was going to be even using 100GB or 150GB, then I think that's still a lot more than that 64GB version, and I feel like that would be worth it in that case. So the next question is, should I buy the official Apple keyboard case and the Apple Pencil? And I've got a lot to say about these products, so I'll be doing separate videos on this. But I've got the Smart Folio keyboard case here with me. And if you're going to be buying this, know that the keyboard part, that's fine. I think that's great. But the case itself is not very protective of the iPad. So you can see here, it's very thin, and also it doesn't protect the edges at all. So you're going to be wanting to, I guess, put this in something else, maybe a laptop case or a laptop bag. And also, I think it slips off the magnets quite easily. So if you've got kids around, then maybe they're holding it in a weird angle or just holding it by the case, and then the iPad could easily fall out. So you just got to let them know that they got to hold this iPad case properly. Now, with the Apple Pencil, I love this Apple Pencil because it snaps onto the top here with magnets and it charges at the same time. So finally, there are no cables for once. And, you know, with this device or this system, it actually keeps it charged all the time. So the Apple Pencil will always be working and you never have to worry about going to charge it. And I think that's really great. I think that might be the killer feature of this iPad Air. And as to whether you're going to be buying the Apple Pencil, well, I think there are some knockoff pencils out there online that you can get. So I want to check those out as well because I think those are a lot cheaper than this Apple Pencil. This Apple Pencil is $129, and some of the knockoff pencils I saw were like, you know, $20 or $30. And if they do the trick, then maybe you could try one of those first before you get this Apple Pencil. Now, I know some of those don't actually charge while they're on this device, so that would be something that you'd have to take note of before you go and buy one of those pencils. And I would say that if it doesn't charge, then don't worry about getting that one, and I would go with the official Apple Pencil because it charges and because it's such a cool feature. So my final question is this a laptop replacement? And I think a lot of people see this iPad with the screen and the keyboard here and think that they could replace their laptop with it. But honestly, like this has a different OS, so it's got iPad OS, and you know, it doesn't have a real keyboard here. The Magic Keyboard is a lot better than the Smart Folio keyboard, but even still, it's quite cramped. So with a full laptop keyboard, you'd be much better off and much more productive with that full laptop keyboard or even a desktop keyboard. And also, you know, you've only got one USB-C port here, so you're just going to be fiddling around with this a lot. So honestly, this is not a great laptop replacement, and you'd be far better off getting a real laptop if you want to do some productivity work. So I hope those questions and answers help you understand whether to buy the iPad Air or not. This is meant to be a really fun device where you're just consuming content. If you're after an iPad for work, then maybe wait for that iPad Pro that will be coming in the near future. Or if you're looking for a laptop replacement, I wouldn't look at the iPad Air, I would go for a real laptop. So that's going to be it for this one. If you have any other questions about the iPad Air, make sure to list them below in the comments and I will get around to as many of them as I can. But aside from that, if you like this video, make sure to click the like button and also to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.